As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
I think the winner of the week has to be all of the grown men out there that, like myself, still have the 7th grade sense of humor. And you found out this week that Nick Saban likes Deez nuts jokes. It's got to be the funniest thing I've ever heard, because you can't find another guy on the planet that you would think it's like the total opposite, right? For Nick Saban. And somehow, which the funniest thing about this is someone had to introduce him to the joke somehow. Like, hey, coach, you know who we should hand the ball to down on the goal line? Who? These nuts. Like, someone had to do that to Saban to start things off, right? That's the funniest part about it.
Did you see what Jordan Battle said? Like, did you see his media availability?
I did.
Here's
Pretty
the
good.
quote: touch D's or suck on D's.
Yeah, I was like, that's that's taking it to the extreme.
They
right
asked
there.
Jordan Battle about his favorite Nick Saban coaching saying, and that was his response: touch
Suck on
D's
D's.
or suck on D's. I mean, that's
Everyone was like, wait, Nick Saban, the head football coach, is that who you're talking about right now?
that's
Isn't that like the funniest visual ever?
I can't imagine, like, he's so serious all the time and he's such a grinder, and then all of a sudden he drops a D's nuts joke on you. You've got to just like howl laughing if you're one of those players. Like, you talk
And
about a joke landing, bro. Oh my gosh.
and you know he has to set it up hard, like he's all pissed off and mad about something, and has everyone like in a really tense, like everyone's like, oh my God, he's on one today. And then he hits you with one of those. It has to be fantastic. It's so funny. When
Oh,
I heard that, I was like, it works so good because it's the last person on the planet you would ever expect that from.
so good. All right, who do you have as your loser of the week?
It's the easiest loser I've ever had to pick. It's Lou Holtz and it's Notre Dame. Did you see this? Lou Holtz and Notre Dame have licensed the play like a champion today phrase. Now, that's a stolen phrase from the University of Oklahoma. They stole that from OU. Lou Holtz stole it from Oklahoma, and now he's trying to make money off of it. So is Notre Dame. It's crap. Oklahoma has that. I think Bud Wilkinson started using that in the late 40s.
I believe he started. I used to know this. I'm pretty sure it was like 1947
Yeah.
because that's the year my dad was born. And I remember thinking, like, oh, I'll never forget that. Year my dad
Yeah.
was born. And that's when Bud Wilkinson started hanging the sign for, yeah, no, everyone knows that's an OU thing, right?
They stole it. They put it in that stupid Rudy movie.
That's what
Okay.
it is. Everyone's
And they
seen Rudy.
slap it in the Rudy's movie, but the sign wasn't even there whenever Rudy played. Lou Holtz hadn't coached there yet. It's stolen from Oklahoma. It's crap.
So are we an anti Lou Holtz podcast now?
Sure.
We don't like you, Lou.
We are anti claiming something is yours when it's somebody else's podcast. Uh, Eddie Eddie Radostovich put it best. We'll see you in court, Lou.
Yeah, no kidding. That that's gonna make a bunch of OU fans mad.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
It didn't
Yeah.
take long today whenever that came out before OU fans started
How,
jumping all over it.
I know Lou Holtz is old, but how old was he in 1947?
I don't
What,
know.
like
He was
12,
yeah,
10?
probably 12 years old. Yeah, stolen. He probably somehow I don't know. I don't know where he would have came across. Maybe Bud Wilkinson had it in a book or something that he read, and he stole it, put it up there at OU or at Notre Dame, and now they're going to try and make money off of it. What a bunch of crap. Be like all of a sudden someone else, using PJ Flex rowed the boat. Ridiculous.
I just, this whole time we're bashing Lou Holtz. I can't stop thinking about the Deez nuts Nick Saban jokes. Like I'm just imagining him saying it in my
It's
head,
about
and I'm
the
just
same
laughing.
as Lou Holtz dropping Deez nuts jokes.
Deez nuts. My Lou Holtz impression is awful, but everyone's got one, right?
Everyone's got one.
All right. For my winner of the week, thought about going with Aretha Franklin. Ted. Rolling Stone remade their list of the 500 greatest songs ever, and the contributors said that Aretha Franklin's Respect is the greatest song ever. Number one. Your thoughts?
I don't think it's the greatest song ever, but I don't know how Rolling Stone, like, music is so, like, people's taste differs so massively. I don't know how you can
I will say this in R.I.P. Aretha, but I will say this. Have you ever met anyone that doesn't like that song? Like, you talk about a red flag. If that song comes on and it gets to the RESPCT part, like, and someone's like, the song sucks, I'd be like, dude, what is wrong with you?
Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't make it the greatest song ever. I've never met anyone that doesn't like Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. So that doesn't mean that that's the greatest song ever.
I didn't go through the entire list of 500, but I got the top 5 for you because I figured you would have something to say. Number 2, Public Enemy's Fight the Power. Number 3, Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come. That is a great song. Number 4, Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone. And number 5 is right up your alley, I'm assuming, Nirvana's Smell Like Teen Spirit.
I like that song from Nirvana, but I don't even think it's their best song. I don't know how they could say that's the number 5 greatest song of all time.
You're more of a heart-shaped box guy, a little darker for you.
Absolutely, yes. I got to know what their criteria is. I don't know.
Go dive. Yeah, they explain how they selected and all that. I was like, that's a lot of reading. I'm not going to explain all that.
What do you think is the greatest song ever?
So that's a great question. Like the greatest song or the song I enjoy the most? Because Bill Withers' Lovely Day may put me in a better mood than any other song.
Really?
I don't know. Like you listen to that as your morning gets going, after you listen to this podcast, of course. And I don't know, it just puts me in a good mood. I would go some Kings of Leon just because they're my favorite band. And, there's a lot of connections there. So I would probably go one of theirs. They're like my favorite song.
There is actually a correct answer to the question, what is the greatest song ever? And it is Lateralis by Tool.
We have slightly different tastes in music. Slightly different. But that's what makes music great.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, but my winner of the week, the Carolina Panthers. Coming off a nice week 1 win over the Jets. Sam Darnold was sharp. We talked about it on the last episode. He was taking care of the football. Friend of the show, Dan Orlovsky, said that Darnold's eyes were in the right places the entire football game. Christian McCaffrey, your favorite player, Ted, and fantasy football superstar, looked healthy. But the reason they're my winner is they've got the Saints this Sunday, and they host the New Orleans Saints there in Carolina. The Saints are still practicing in Texas. They're actually practicing at TCU right now.
Nice.
Because of the damage that Hurricane Ida did to New Orleans. So they're still not at home, and it just got worse. They've now got 8 people in the Saints organization that just tested positive for COVID, including 6 offensive coaches. So it's just like it's just such a bad situation for New Orleans. Like they're practicing away from their facility. They're on the road. They're sleeping in a hotel. Like their entire offensive staff is sick. Their meetings are all messed up. They're having to meet as a full offense instead of as position groups. Like it's a mess, man. I feel like that's working in Carolina's favor.
You would think sometimes you just never know, though, man.
But Saints just destroyed the Packers. Like
I know,
embarrassed them.
they look good, and Winston had the quote of the century after the game. Did you see that?
What's he always say? What's my trainer say?
Hey, we were prepared. My trainer told me. What did he tell me? He said, "Be prepared."
I love Jameis Winston, man.
He's gonna let it rip. That's the one thing, man. He'll throw the football around the yard for sure. He may throw it to the wrong team, but he'll air it out. But I agree. The Panthers look good, dude. They really do.
I love Matt Rule. I miss you, Matt.
Coach.
Come back to the Big 12. You were the best interview. I love you.
Do we want him to come to the SEC now?
No. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Next coach of Bama, Matt Rule. Not crazy.
That's not crazy.
All right.
Is he psycho enough? He may be too nice for that job.
No, I've seen a bit of the psycho side on the sideline. Yeah. Good. He's got just the right amount of psycho for you, Ted.
Nice.
Okay, my loser of the week. Thought about going with anyone that thought the NFL was dying. You look at, if you had that take in the last couple of years, right? Oh, the numbers. No one's watching. Well, the NFL's opening week ratings are out, and they averaged 17.4 million viewers. They're up 7% from last season, and NFL games ranked as the top 6 broadcasts overall last week. So, Ted, turns out people still love NFL football. Shock.
Yeah, and I think the Cowboys, the Thursday night game was the number 1 rated game all week, right?
Yeah, huge number.
No, this first weekend of NFL was amazing, and you nailed it in the last episode. Red Zone right around what 3:30 is the greatest television you could ever pay for.
Appointment television with my man Scott Hansen. But my loser of the week, USC athletic director Mike Bohn fires Clay Helton after 2 games. Fires a coach that the players love after 2 games. Supposedly players crying about it in the locker room when they found out. And I understand he's been there a while, and it hasn't worked the way that they wanted it to, right? But he did win 10 games one year. He won 11 games one year. They went 5-1 last year. But Urban Meyer already said there's no chance he's leaving Jacksonville to take the USC job. Luke Fickell doesn't seem like a fit to me. I mean, that dude is Ohio as they come. And with Cincinnati coming to the Big 12 soon,
they're
going to be able to pay him $5 million a year. And he's going to get a raise just from all the interest he's going to get from this USC job. Is a guy like PJ Fleck really the type for USC? I don't know. Eric Bieniemy's name has been thrown out there, right? Guy from California, played at Colorado. This is the reality of it for me when it comes to the USC job. It's not the job it used to be. There's all these discussions. Hey, is it a top 3 job? Is it a top 5 job? The answer is no. It's not. Everyone references Pete Carroll and what he was doing at USC and how he had things rolling. Like, people in Los Angeles cared about college football then. They do not care about college football anymore in Los Angeles. They've got 2 pro teams, both
pro sports,
who are kind of rolling. That one's got a young, exciting quarterback in Justin Herbert. The other, I mean, Matt Stafford could not have looked better in Sean McVay's system.
And baseball, and 2 good NBA basketball teams. I mean, everything's rolling right now, all of it.
So I just don't think USC is what it once was. Now, are there still a lot of players in California? Absolutely. But there's more schools targeting those kids. And there have been pipelines and relationships established. And Mario Cristobal is out there at Oregon, right? People are saying, why don't they go after Mario Cristobal? Well, Oregon's got a better setup. They got more passionate fans. They got the nicest facilities. I mean, he's got every resource he could possibly ask for. They're paying him a ton of money. Like,
His players don't have a billion distractions in Eugene like they do in LA.
Right. I just don't think. Now, of course, there's going to be candidates for the job. Like, it's USC. Like, it is a premier job. I'm not saying it's not a good job, but I saw some people saying, well, maybe it's the best job in the country. What? Have you been to a USC game? Have you been to the Coliseum? It is one of the worst college football environments I've ever been in. I watched USC play Texas there, and I was like, this sucks. And it was a good game. So I don't know. With everything you got to deal with, especially out in the state of California, with that school, like I don't know. I just don't find it as appealing as some other people do, I guess. I'm sure, maybe James Franklin wants it, right? Maybe he does. But I just think everyone's like, oh, they're just going to get whoever they want. Who that is a top 10 coach in college football is leaving their job for USC? I don't see it.
None of them. Nobody would leave their job for USC. You don't even have to be a top 10 job. The one thing that is appealing about USC is that the Pac-12 has not been dominated by any one school recently. Like, if you're a top coach and now, like Texas, like in the Big 12, now I know they're in the SEC, we're going to the SEC now, but the fact that Oklahoma's dominated the conference makes that Texas job not as good, or, any ACC game because of Clemson. You have to go in there and compete with that. But we're knocking on the door of an expanded playoff. I think it's going to happen instantly. Why, like Fickle, why leave to go to USC whenever you've got things rolling in Cincinnati? You could compete and maybe win the Big 12 next year, make a playoff. All of a sudden with an expanded playoff, like, there's not nearly as much reason to go to USC. Most schools are paying their head football coach a really good salary. I mean, you can, yes, make a little bit more money there, but is it worth the headache? Is it that much easier to win there than it is somewhere else? I would say no.
Also, the taxes out there suck.
Millionaire tax, baby.
But, and you also, I think coaches, above everything else, they value two things. Will me and my family be happy? And can I win?
They won't be happy in LA, and you may win. Maybe.
Yeah. Also,
who could be happy in LA when you pay $3 million for an apartment?
Coaches usually like being treated well, and USC just fired a coach that, from all indications, everyone in the program loves after 2 games. And it is the same school that left Lane Kiffin on the tarmac. I'm just saying.
Right. But most people do like them for that move. But
True.
You do have to take it into consideration.
And it is an amazing story. So thank you for that, USC. But yeah, Mike Bohn, I'm very interested to see who ends up as the next head coach at USC. Okay, if you had to guess one name, throw it out there. What do you got?
Is Franklin the one he hired at Penn State? He hired Fickle at Cincinnati, right?
I have had multiple people tell me that while Mike Bohn was the AD and Luke Fickell was the head football coach, that they were not exactly the best of friends at Cincinnati?
I would probably say maybe Franklin, because I think Franklin may want to leave because he feels like he's plateaued.
That's
But
fair.
I think that's a horrible hire.
He's just been linked to that. He's been linked to that job so many times now. Like eventually, right? It's the people have to be right. I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I honestly have no idea. I really don't. I know that's not very good at breakdown or analysis, but anyone's guess. I don't think it'll be Bieniemy. I don't think it'll be Fickell. I don't think it's going to be Urban Meyer. Don't think it's going to be Bob Stoops. Franklin is really the only person that's been mentioned on the list that makes any sense, because I think he would get out of Penn State because it's going to sour on him pretty quickly there if he can't beat Ohio State.
Yeah, and he's got an interesting family situation. Remember last year, he's like away from his family. I think it had something to do with his daughter. I can't remember the details of it, but I don't know. I have no idea who USC's next coach is going to be, but we'll see. We'll see.